Hello everyone, Daniel Yuck here. Thank you all for tuning in today. I appreciate you. Today we are going to be diving into episode 8 here in the follow along series, in which I provide you all with a stencil to download. The link is in the description below, and then you can go ahead and follow along with me on your end. Now, I've been thinking a lot about the follow along series, and instead of progressively make them harder and harder, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start creating the designs on my end, and then I'm going to bring the designs to you all so we can do them together. So they won't necessarily go in a progressive order. We are simply going to be doing loads of different tattoo designs together, essentially, is how the follow alongs are going to go. For those who are curious why, is because it's much easier for me to simply create as the inspiration comes and have the stencils ready, as opposed to try to progressively make the stencils different in every way as we go. So for me, it'd be more cohesive and consistent and smooth if we simply went off the inspiration and stencils that come as they come, if that makes sense. But in a nutshell, that is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be diving into episode 8. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get on into it. Okay, so for this here, I am using the Bronx Stave Tattoo Machine, Staves. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but that's what I'm using. I'm using the Bronx Staves Tattoo Machine, and then I'm going to be using Ghost Spider Tattoo Needles. I will leave links in the description below so you can check this out on your end. I'm also going to be using Dynamic Black, and this is a real skin right here. I also have some True Skin back here. The True Skin is sold on Amazon and is also affordable, so you may want to check that out, in which I will leave for you in the links below. So that's what I'm working with, and for this tattoo right here, I do have an assortment. I have a 005 round liner, standard 11 round liner, I have a standard 9 round liner right here, I have a standard 7, and I have a standard 9 round shader. I also have a standard 3 round liner. So these are the needles that I have available to me on my end. Whether I'm going to use all of them or not will be determined as we go. So that is what I have available to me. And if you don't have any of these configurations available to you, no worries, don't worry about it. We still can proceed accordingly. I'm going to work my way from the bottom to the top. That's how I would do it as if this was on human skin. So we're going to keep the same approach. I'm going to be running at 8 volts, as you see right here. And I'm going to start off with the standard 11 round liner. And this is what we are working with. And again, this is a Bronx Staves Tattoo Machine. I'm going to begin with lining this right here and seeing how the configuration fits with the design here and what I am doing. So let's proceed into that. Allow me to zoom in, and we're going to begin pulling the first lines. So for me, when I like to begin, I don't like to fill my cartridge up with ink to the max because I don't want excessive pulling. I try to stay away from pulling as much as I possibly can. I'm always mindful of when I'm tattooing from A to B as well. I always make sure that I'm going to have enough ink to make it there. So let's go ahead and begin here. So that's one line down right there. And then I'm going to repeat that process on the other side. And when I go ahead and add ink into my cartridge, I simply put the needle tip in there, and the needle going up and down, in and out, does all the work for me. So that's the first 2 lines that I'm going to pull right there. There is a dot right here, in which I will also start from the center and just work my way out like so. Very simple and very straightforward. Here on the inside, those little details right there, I personally would want to save those for another size configuration, maybe one a little bit smaller than the 11 round liner. So from here, I'm going to proceed, and I'm going to do these little dots right here. So I'm doing those 2 dots right there. These right here, all of these details, like these splash details, I feel those can be done with, say, a 5 round liner. I would approach those with a 5 round. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to approach those with a 5 round liner. Not right now, as I feel we can kind of work our way up. Now, here's a choice where we have to make as tattoo artists. So for the example that I'm trying to say here, let me elaborate. If you want to continue and finish this area first and literally work your way up, you can do so. If you want to match other areas and do those that do match your configuration, we can do so. For me, I do think the best approach is to simply change the needles as you go, as you actually need them. So I'm going to switch out from the 11 round liner. I'm going to grab something more along the lines of a 7 round liner to implement or to input these lines right here. And I'm going to use the Ghost Spider standard 7 round liner for that. And I'm running at 8 volts. I'm not certain if I mentioned that. We are running at 8 volts even. And I probably will stay at that voltage for this entire tattoo. And then right here, I'm going to moisten the area that I'm going to tattoo. And then I'm going to begin to pull the lines here. We're not going for perfection, we're going for consistency there. And then in the middle right there, that calls for some dot work. So we're going to go ahead and leave that for the dot work there. And then I'm going to continue and work my way up. I do have a 7 round liner, so if I'm comfortable, I could even test right here with the 7 round liner, since it was 2 sizes up from the 5 that we were originally going to use. So you can kind of like see my, or hear my logic there. Since it is only 2 needles up, we can maybe be able to get this splash done with less trauma because of that. The needle being slightly larger. And even on fake skin, every time I wipe away, I want to wipe away soft, so I mimic the motions of real human skin. Because if this was real human skin, I'm going to be gentle because I'm cutting the skin and I'm opening up the skin. Now, since the 7 round liner worked right there, I'm going to repeat that on this side right here. So we have that going there. And I hope that you're still with me. If you're not, please feel free to pause to go ahead and approach it on your end how you see fit. I do apologize if I'm a little fast here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the very tip of my needle and just use dots to fill in the last areas that I feel I can. And why I choose dots for like little touch-ups like that is simply because it's going to hold. I'm inputting the ink in very specific areas. So that's going to make for a better hold long term. I'm going to repeat this process. Now I'm going to grab some more ink here and I'm going to keep these splashes going with the 7 round liner. And I'm going to start with either, or you can start with the right or left. Surely doesn't matter. You're going to get to where you're going. And then I'm just going to fill it in. And then when I do fill it in, I just simply Pack in small, slow, consistent motions. Making sure I'm getting it the first time around. Speed does fluctuate depending on where the needle tip has been and how long it's been there for. And this is something that comes naturally. I'm gonna continue building here on this black area until it's done nice, saturated, clean, and black. No patchy areas or anything like that. So that's coming out great. I'm going to proceed and do the other side. Now, if we make mistakes along the way, that's what we practice on fake skin. It's okay. I've never really seen a perfect tattoo in my life. So if you're making mistakes along the way, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Keep going. I'm making them too. Do not get discouraged. Don't get caught up on the mistakes that we're making. Instead, change your thought process to focus on how can we do better to avoid those mistakes. And then things start happening there. So we have that side lined as well. If you need to see, if you need to put more ointment, go ahead. And keep in mind, use your imagination. This is human skin, quote unquote, imagination. We're using that. This is human skin, so you want to be gentle. You want to develop those habits. So that way when you are tattooing real skin, human skin, you're being gentle, you're being able to read, you're doing everything better as opposed to not developing those habits and developing, rough hands, rough wipes, and no consideration. I do feel having consideration for the canvas getting tattooed is also a big part of tattooing. So that's why right here is why what you're seeing right now is why I personally don't like to dip the tubing in there, just the needle running on the outside, the needle that's there. I just like to dip the needle tip in there because I don't like to pull too much because I do lines and I want to be able to see my needle tip. So that's that side right there. Feel free to go ahead and apply ointment, wipe away, look at it thoroughly, make sure we're using our eyes and good lighting to make sure that there's no spots that could be patched up. If there's little areas that could use some patching, again, you can use dot work to finish and kind of lock everything in there. I use dot work all the time to kind of go over some last minute areas there. And then we have two more up here. Now I can choose to go with the 7-round liner or I can use a 5. I don't think that it would really matter. I think it's kind of like to each their own. Most people will probably stick with the 7-round. I'm going to go ahead and do that too. So I'm lining both sides right now, so that way we have them lined, and then I can go back and fill them in. And we can do the same thing with these little ones. We can go and line them right now, should we choose to do so, or we can line them in a moment. I think that you are going to get to where you're going. Whatever comes naturally, whatever feels right to you in that moment, I think is the way that we should go with it. Like so. And then from here I'm just going to fill those in easily. Same thing with this side. So we have those filled out there, and again, you just want to be patient. Make sure that we fill it in nice and saturated as best we can. Don't overwork the skin. Don't leave any patches either. Use those dots to fill in really tight small areas. And then what I'm doing is I'm just filling in these last two right here, and then I'm going to go ahead and proceed to build on the rest of the tattoo. And just to confirm for you all, we will be doing more follow along still, just in a less progressive manner. Every design, you know, some will be harder than others, some will be more advanced and complex, and they'll all come in different orders, so there's not going to be any specific order. And we may even do live follow alongs together as well, so be sure to stick around for that. So we filled in that side, and I'm going to wipe away gently, see what we're working with. I'm happy with the results. I'm going to move on to the next right here. So you see, I'm really making sure that I'm working the pigment into the places that I need for it to be. I'm taking my time. I have no rush in terms of applying this tattoo. I want to make sure that I'm getting these splashes nice, dark, and saturated as they should be. You can even use dot work specifically to go ahead and apply these. That's perfectly fine too, to each their own. For me, I'm going to go ahead and go with this approach here. So we have that splash done right there. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to proceed, and we're going to switch over to a different needle configuration so we can begin building this part of the tattoo right here. So for this area right here, I'm going to go with a 9-round shader, and this is also a ghost spider needle as well. And I'm going to go ahead and run down straight like this, and then the same thing for both sides. So that way this line in the middle comes out thick, and that way we match the configuration as well over here. So that's how we are going to approach that. And you can go either side first. You can do right or left. I don't really think that it matters. Now, you don't have to pull the line all in one go like that. By all means, I encourage you to taper in and out if you need to. I felt more comfortable doing it this way, so I went ahead and proceeded to do it that way. Just because it's a follow along doesn't mean you have to do exactly as I do it. Do what is comfortable for you on your end. So I do like the way that line came out. It came out great. I'm going to repeat that process, but I'm going to just do this side over here. Like so. And again, I'm doing it as best I can. Nothing's perfect. We're not going for perfection. We're going for seeing it through A to B, finishing the tattoo, just to better our skill sets here. I also want to point out, if you feel comfortable moving this way to this way over this way to this way, by all means, please go ahead and do so. I'm not here to tell you exactly how to do it. After a while, you know, you could make choices, and what feels better to you, and vice versa. You get the idea. So feel free to go ahead and try out, and I encourage you to do so, what is better for you. I'm going to use this 9-round shader to kind of proceed here and then line this area right here as well. And I'm going to do that with with this side right here. So I'm going to go from here, A, and then B, like so. And then I'm going to repeat that process right here to right here. so. I want to dab, not wipe, as I don't want to lose the stencil. And then I'm going to go from here to right here. Then what I'm doing is I'm essentially building up the tattoo. I'm working through it and kind of just adding as we need, so to speak. That's the logic behind it. So we have that line going there. And again, if you feel comfortable from here to here, that's perfectly fine. We can try it that way. For me personally, I feel comfortable moving it this way. So I'm going to do it that way. I'm going to stick to what's comfortable for me as the tattoo artist. So nice, smooth, and consistent as I possibly can get it. And then I'm just going to proceed, and I'm going to do this side as well, like we did that side. And notice how my tube never fills all the way to the top. I'm just using micro increments of ink to ensure that I get a clean pull like this each and every time. Granted, sometimes it does pull up, but I'm perfectly fine with that. As long as it's not excessive. So that's how I'm going to do that side as well. So for this middle area right here, I'm going to switch back to the standard 11 round liner. I do want to have minor changes and fluctuations within the needle configuration sizes there, because it does read and show in the tattoo. So this is the 11 round liner. And then I'm going to meet this end over here. And then I'm going to go ahead and go straight down, like so. Like so. So that's how I'm going to approach that. And then for these little spokes right here in the middle, I'm going to repeat the same process, and I'm going to use the same needle configuration size here, or the same needle size. And I'm going to go A to B, A to B, A to B. And if you can't see it because of some minor splashing, feel free to wipe that away. I encourage you to try to have your tattooing canvas site as clean and comfortable as possible upon tattooing. Made it. And notice, messed up a little bit right there. Again though, I'm okay with it. I'm gonna keep proceeding front. I've never really seen a perfect tattoo, so I'm not gonna focus and let that get me down. It can if I allow it to. However, I'm going to proceed front. Now, moving front here, we have this area right here with these details. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do that with the same needle configuration size, because I do feel like it's in the ballpark. So I'm going to start with this right here, this little dot, and I'm going to work my way up to those other bigger dots. Like so. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Like so. And then the last one, we're going to do that as well. I always start in the middle and kind of just work my way out like this to each their own. You can start out here if you feel comfortable and then work your way into the middle. I think that that's on you as a tattoo artist to make the choice accordingly. But what I'm letting you know is you're going to get to where you're going. Just take your time. Make sure that you're applying the pigment in the best and most appropriate areas, meaning don't go outside the circle, don't go outside the lines. You get my drift. Just do the best that you possibly can. I feel as a tattoo artist, so if you're genuinely doing your best, you're not rushing, and you did your time to practice and get a good grip of things on fake skin, when it comes to tattooing, you can feel better about your work because you're genuinely doing your best. And that's the idea of it. So gently wiping away, and I'm going to proceed. I'm going to add these details, and again, we're still using the standard 11 round liner. Then go from A to B right here. Same thing. Like so. And the same thing for the other side. We're going to do that, and the same thing for the detail in the middle right here. Like so. So that's how I'm going to go about doing that middle part right here. Now from this point we can make an artistic choice. We can go ahead and go to this area right here and do this with the 11 round liner, and we can proceed to do whatever else we feel, like such as these dots right here. I feel like that would be good. Or we can go ahead and proceed to build on the tattoo around. To each their own. For me, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to skip right here, and I'm going to apply the last of the pigment that I have in the cartridge to this dot, because that makes practical sense. I don't have to go back and do that later. Like so. Didn't create much of a mess on my canvas site, and I can proceed. So you can kind of see my logic, thought process, and approach when I am tattooing. So from here, I'm going to switch out, and we're going to go back to a 9-round shader and do these areas right here. So next, I'm going to use the 9-round shader, and I'm going to start implementing or inputting these lines right here. So I'm going to go from A to B. As consistent as I possibly can get them. I don't believe in perfection, and I'm going to continue, and I'm going to do the same thing over and over and over. So this line, same process, the line just gets a little bit longer and bigger. And the same thing for this one just gets a little bit bigger. Now, if you don't have different configurations, what you can do, and I will leave links to these different configurations down below, should you choose to pick them up on your end, you can do so. However, if you don't have these configurations that I'm using in this exact video, feel free to use whatever you have. You could even line everything with an 11-round liner should you choose to do so. What I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat that exact same process, but on this side over here. The exact same thing. And again, if you're comfortable going this way, you can. If you're comfortable going that way, you can. To each their own. I don't really feel like there is a right or wrong. I'm going to stick with going this way. And then we're going to repeat that one last time. Again, if you are making mistakes along the way, don't fixate on them, because that can be very, very discouraging. I make mistakes every time I tattoo, and sometimes I'll tend to do that, fixate on my mistakes, and it just discourages me quite a bit. So I'm here to share that with you. Don't fixate on the mistakes. Keep practicing, keep going, and then the mistakes don't ever fully go away. However, there's fewer of them. So we have those 3 lines done as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to repeat that process, and we're going to do the same thing with these big wings right here, or these big wing area type deals right here. Be gentle upon wiping. We don't want to distort or hurt the skin any more than what we're already doing here. So I'm going to start from here. Allow me to get on camera. From here to here. So I got there, that's where I was comfortablest too. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to proceed from this way, that way. Just like that. And then I'm going to repeat that process going this way. I'm going to go ahead and withdraw there. Now we're going to just proceed to build it on up as best as we can here. We can go this way, that way if we choose to do so. Like so. And as you can see, my lines aren't necessarily perfect, but I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to keep on going, and over time, this is going to happen a lot less. And I think that's the idea of development. I think people often fixate and see other people with perfect tattoos or next to perfect tattoos, and we look at ours and then we probably feel not like that. Well, it's a bad thought process. We have to keep going. We have to fine-tune our abilities here. So the same thing, I'm going to go ahead and go from this way, or this way. I don't really feel like it matters here. So I'm going to start where I can actually see for my positioning here. And there's that line. And keep in mind, if you have to break it down, come from this way, please do so. If you have to go this way, by all means, please do so. Do what is appropriate for you. As you can see, I had to figure out what was more appropriate for me before pulling this line. So if you have to do that, by all means, I encourage you to do that. Your line may and will come out cleaner here. So that line right there, did as best I could. Came out very, very nice as well, I feel. And again, none of these lines are perfect, and I'm not going to focus on that. What I'm going to focus on is the fact that the tattoo still reads well. The lines are very, very nice still. Not perfect, but great. So I'm going to go ahead and continue. And I hope that me saying this out loud to you all allows you to see that, I guess this is the art side of tattooing. I don't believe in perfection. So for me, I feel like letting you all see this up close and in real time is beneficial to a lot. And the next part I'm going to do is I'm going to go in this little area. I'm going to use the same needle configuration, and I'm going to run through these lines right here. So I'm going to start from right here. Then I'm going to go around this way, like so. And I'm going to do it like that. Then I could repeat at the bottom with like a 3-round liner. I could do that in a little bit should I choose to do so, or I can do just one thick black line there if I want. I mean, the possibilities are kind of endless there. From here I'm going to go up here and bring it around here. Then I'm going to do the same thing with this side. Get a little bit more. Just putting the needle tip into the ink cap. Like so. Now, if I'm ahead or behind, you can fast forward or rewind, pause, do what you need to do so that way this video flows to you and your workflow. I'm going to just let the needle tip do the work, like so. And then I'm going to do that same thing with all of these right here. So as you see, I'm just using the needle tip here to do the work for me. So that's how I'm going to go about doing the dots there as well. And then from here I can go ahead and proceed to do these lines should I choose to do so, and that dot in the middle. So as a matter of fact, let's go ahead and do that right here. And I'm going to stay with the same size needle here. And this is the 9-round shader. And then we can always come back with like the 7-round liner and then do the remaining should we choose to do so. I think that that'd be a good way to go. And then here in the middle, I'm going to start right here and work my way out. Like so. So there we go, and then we can switch configurations and then add the details. We can go ahead and use a 9-round shader and add these lines. I think doing that would be ideal. So I'm going to go on a little bit more up because these are just subtle details and small details. I can do that free-handed as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add these larger lines up here. I'm going to make sure that I have enough ink to get across safely here, to avoid any inconsistencies. And then I'm going to repeat that on the other side. Like so. And then on the inside right here, we can use like a 3-round liner and get creative with the lining in there, should we choose to do so. Here, I'm going to again start from the center and work my way out. That's how we're going to go about that right there. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually stick with a 9-round shader, and I'm going to do these details in there as well with the 9-round shader here. I'm going to do these first ones right here. like so. I'm actually gonna keep it like that. Now I'm gonna actually switch to maybe the 11 round liner, and I'm gonna add those other details there. So let's switch on over to the 11 round liner and let's add the next details here. So I'm gonna do the details right here in this area, and I'm using the 11 round liner. Clean, simple, like so. And then on this last one, I can do that with like a 7 round liner. And then over here, we can do that with a smaller needle too. I don't want to rush and just kind of do any size needle. I know that it was just a small, amount of work for this configuration. However, switching out the needles does make for a better read. So I'm going to go ahead and go into the 7 round liner. And I'm going to add, or actually better yet, I'm going to switch over to a 5 round liner. And this is going to be the Ghost Spider 5 round liner. And I'm going to add the 5. I'm going to use this to add all of the final details here. As you see. So this is a 5 round liner. And proceeding accordingly, that's what we will do. And I'm going to add the details right here first. 1. And then over here. 2. Just like that. And then even out here for this line, this needle size is actually a great fit for this area right here. So if I go like this, it's a great candidate for this tighter area right here. I'm going to repeat that process for this side over here. Like so. Very nice. And then right here, it has a little circle, but I'm going to bring it down to a little point because I think that would look nicer. And then I'm going to fill this in black. Very nice, very cool. And then I'm going to go ahead and continue. So down here in this area, we have some more splashes there, and then we have a line that's going this way. So what I can do is I can get this 5 round liner and follow another line here, like so. To me, that looks a lot better than having 2 of the same lines right there, to each their own. And then I'm going to use this 5 round liner for the splashes right here. We could even use this 5 round liner for the dot work that we can do right here. So I'm being very careful to get these splashes in there. So we have those splashes now inputted as well, and to me this looks great. Even with the minor mistakes that we made along the way, I'm still loving the way that this tattoo is coming out. It's still gonna read well to the eye. Now going back right here, let's circle back to this area right here. This area right here had a little bit of dot work. Now would be a good time to go ahead and begin implementing dot work if you wanted to. You can use a 3 round liner for this demonstration. I'm gonna stick with this 5 round liner that I'm utilizing. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up right here with dots, as you see, and then gently fill it in here. So that way it has space around. And then I'm going to use a little bit of whip shading here to whip down from the tip of the dots there. like so. There we go. And then we're gonna approach it like that up here in this area here shortly. So moving front, I'm going to fill out these last splashes right here, and then we can proceed to do the dot work and call it a day. So I'm going to go ahead and just start right around here. And I'm going to line that one. Like so. Doing the splashes like so. So what I'm doing is I'm just outlining the splashes right now. And again, you can do these in dot work. You don't have to line them as I'm doing. You can, you know, literally dot work them if you'd like. For this demonstration, I'm going to line them and I'm going to pack them in there. And feel free to do this design multiple times. Try some with dot work, try some with packing, mix around, you know, mix around different elements and try to get different results. You don't have to follow through and through as I am doing it. If you'd like, by all means. So I'm going up here. So basically what I'm doing right now is my thought process is to build and get all of the splashes lined out in there. So then I can go back and just kind of fill them all in. So I have those lined, and it's just this one and that top circle. So I lined all of these splashes there. Now from this point, what I can do is I can proceed to fill them all in solid black. And then we're gonna go ahead and proceed to do the dot work. And in this point, since it's already lined in terms of losing the stencil, I'm not really fearful of. So I can leave those like that. Now, what I would do here, if this was on human skin, is I'm gonna backtrack a little bit, and then I'm gonna go and I'm gonna line up the dot work right here. So that way I have that there too. So let's proceed and let's line up these dots here. So that way we have the entire stencil mapped out already, as opposed to having to rely on the stains. Stains from the stencil, for those who are curious. So I have one side there. I'm gonna repeat that with over here. And this is the part that's gonna go filled in with dot work. Be gentle. So you see I'm lining it, And then from there, what we're gonna do is, after we fill in the splashes, we can add the dot work, or you can add the dot work and then fill in the splashes. I think that it doesn't really matter. You're gonna get to where you're going, simply because we don't really have much more stencil to lose here. We have it all mapped out, laid out with black ink already into the skin. So for me though, I'm going to actually just go back to the packing, because that's kind of the least of what I would like to do. So I'm gonna go back in and simply pack black here. So I'm just building my way, blacking out or packing black into all of these splashes right here. Just gonna thoroughly clean my canvas, see what I'm working with here. So very nice, it's coming out very good. I'm just gonna proceed and keep building this up. And I'm still using the same needle here to pack in these black areas, as I want to keep that sharp point at the end, so I can just be more precise with this needle here. That's why I'm using this one right here. You can fill these in with whatever you'd feel comfortable with. And I'm using just the very tips of my needles. I'm not driving my needle into the skin here. I'm using just the very tips and just dragging the tip onto the skin, the tip of my needle onto the skin there. And then I'm going to repeat that here on this side, and then we can proceed to do the dot work. Then 2 more splashes right here and we can proceed. And I'm taking my time. I'm not rushing. I'm not gonna develop that rushing energy, because if I do it right now, it's gonna heal well and it's gonna be there for life. I will never have to come back to this again. So I might as well just get to the spots and hit all of these spots correctly the first time. So there we go. Now let's go ahead and proceed to the dot work. So for the dot work, you can use 3-round liner, you can use 5-round liner, 7-round liner, whatever you use on your end. I'm not here to tell you you have to use this for this, this for this. That's not what I want to do. But for me, since I have a bigger area that I would like to cover in a more timely manner, I'm going to use ink claws. As you see, we have 3 standard 3-round liners on this needle tip right here. So what I'm about to do is simply approach it the exact same way that I would as if I'm doing dot work with a 3-round liner or even a 5-round liner. And I'm just going to proceed and apply dot work the exact same way. Nothing changes. The only thing that's changing is my needle configuration that I am using. So I'm going to work right here in this area. Then I'm just going to kind of build and proceed. I will leave links for you in the description below so you can check out these ink claw specialty needles on your end. So what I'm doing is, as you see, I'm putting dot work there. It's nice, consistent, and cohesive. And then what I do is I can go back this way to kind of smooth it out, make it a little less consistent. So there we go. And then I'm going to continue with that all the way across here, and then we're going to do the same with the other one. And then I'm just going to repeat this all the way through until I reach the end there. Same thing that I would do as if I'm dotting with a 3-round liner. And then we can go back and then add another layer over to kind of smooth things out to make them a little less consistent. So I have that covered with dots, and there's a bit of, you know, consistency and inconsistency. I want to kind of have it a bit less smooth, so to speak, but while smoothing it out, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to apply dots going in the opposite direction. So kind of cross-hatching dots here, as you see. And it does change the overall readability of the dot work, as you see. So it goes from this to more so that there. And we can also use shading, which we probably will. We will get there shortly. There we go, and I'm just building. I have this part in the middle to go. Okay, so I have that dot work filled out right there. Now that dot work is different. It looks a little bit different over, you know, a 3-round liner, just that one needle tip. However, I'm still getting to where I'm going. I'm definitely not mad at it. I do like that textural look. What I can also do now is I can get this same needle tip, and you can do this with your 3-round liner. And I'm going to do inward motions like this. I'm going to add some shading here, like so. And again, you can do that with whatever needle you were dotting with. So just like that. And then I can do the same thing for this side going that way as well. And this one here can be a little more subtle, not as big. Like so. So feel free to go ahead and add the shading as you'd like. Keep in mind, you can use whatever configuration you'd like to use on your end. So that's how I'm going to go about dotting this area right here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to essentially repeat that same process on that side as well. Some people may like this look, some may not. It's not for everybody. It's definitely just a different texture that I'm going for. Again, you can use any needle you would like. I'm actually going to do this side real quick before we proceed on to the next there. So I have that dot work going right there. And then what I want to do is I can add shadings going from this way out or down. Again, to each their own. I don't really feel like there is a right or wrong. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a little bit from this way on out. Like so. And then I'm going to go ahead and proceed to this side. I'm going to leave these alone for right now. I'm not going to add any dot work to these smaller areas as I don't want to tighten them up too much and add too much in one small area. Proceeding front, I'm going to do the same thing right here. And we can kind of proceed to wrap up this tattoo. We're just about home free. So I'm going to repeat that process over here. So I got that first layer laid down right there. I'm gonna repeat that. This one was going right and left. The next layer is gonna go up and down. Okay, so we got that layer down too. And then what I'm gonna do now is add some shading on the tips like we did. Then we can proceed to that bottom part right there. Nice, and then I'm gonna go ahead and repeat that over here on this side. Adding some last minute shadings there and to this side. Just using the very tips of my needles there. So that's pretty much how I see us going about it. Now let's just finish this last area out right here, and then we can close out this video here. So that one was going right and left. The next one will be going up and down. And then from here, I'm going to do the same thing where we fade out that way. There we go. Allow me to clean off the skin and see where we are at. So from here, you can make your final choices in terms of if you want to add more dot work, if you need to add a little bit more shading somewhere. Right now would be a great time to make all of those last minute choices before presenting the client with the final product. For me, let's go ahead and just add a little bit more dot work in here with you all. And I'm going to start right here. And it's going to be just in some tiny areas, nothing too crazy or large. And right now I'm using a 3-round liner. You can do this with a 5, whatever you can fit in this area right here. Go with that. So I did a little bit of dot work, and then in that same area of dots, I'm going to go and add a little bit of shading to create a little bit more interest and dimension there. Then I'm going to do the same thing here with the other side. Just a tiny small area. And once we get that going, I'm going to shade in here. Like so. There we go. Now from there, you can again proceed to make your choices as the artist on what you want to add. We can go ahead and add dot work in here, or we can leave it. You can add a little bit of shading downwards should you choose to do so. Sometimes less is more, oftentimes less is more. You get the idea, such as a little dot work there, that's cool. We could even do that here. So find the top point. Like so. Then the same thing over here on the other side. And then I'm going to shade a little bit down like we did over here. These other ones. So there we go, we have some more details there. And again, you can repeat that, or you can even just simply add shading in certain areas. Like so. Doesn't always have to be dot work. You get the idea on the points that I am trying to make here. And then you can even add a little bit of pepper shading all the way through right here if you'd like to create a little bit of interest there. Nothing too crazy either. Just a tiny bit. Maybe even one more layer over. Like so. Now allow me to clean this off, and I believe we are now done. We can go ahead and take a top view at this tattoo here. Take a look at it from a top view, forgive me. So here we are at a top view, and this is what the tattoo looks like. This is how it came out. This is how it reads. And in my professional opinion, the tattoo reads nicely. It reads well. The lines are nice and clean, saturated. The dot work is nice and interesting. As you can see, it's an interesting texture. The shadings are nice as well. Keep in mind, you can apply the dot work and shading where you see fit. If you wanted to put some dot work here, more shading here, wherever you'd like, you can do that on your end. Now, throughout this follow along, I do hope that I was able to help you, whether I shed some light, help you in a better direction, help you pull better lines, whatever the case may be. I hope that I was able to help you in any way or some way, shape, or form. Now, if you have any questions about anything that you may have seen or heard throughout this video, I'm going to encourage you to drop a comment down below. I will do my best to assist you in the best possible direction. I also have social medias all under the same name as this YouTube channel. I have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok all under the same name as this YouTube channel. I would truly appreciate the support on there as well. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button for me and ring that bell, as we will be bringing more videos like this and doing more follow alongs together. Thank you for tuning in yet again. You have a great day.